Guys and dolls, Freedom Dad here, and indoors simply because my battery's going to die. So I just wanted to get this video out today, before at least before 5, Um, and it was just everything's good in my life. Got the kitchen guys out the gate soon. They're out today, so I'm getting the kitchen soon. Um, Happy days, So I think around about the beginning of December, should get the new kitchen in, make a big difference. So it will. But yeah, apart from that, everything else is good. But I tell you what it is. I was on the phone to a good friend, Patriotic Lee. Um, he'll probably throw a comment down. If he's given a just click his wee icon next to his comment, and it'll take you straight. And you can subscribe to him. Give him a wee subscribe. He's a good lad. So I've mentioned him a couple of times. But you know, he's a guy like myself. You know what I mean? Most guys, that have around me, obviously, I've had them. You know what I mean? Like psychologically, I'm constantly like always be careful like that. That's the type of person I am. So when I say like he's a good lad, you can take it from me like he is a good lad. Um, a wee bit like me. We're both pretty similar, so pretty similar upbringings, through care and stuff like that. And I don't want to say too much. It's not my place really to be talking about other people. Like, but I'm quite sure he wouldn't mind. But like I say, it's not my place. But he's a really nice guy and a patriot, as you can tell, patriotically. And so anyway, we had a sitting chatting on the phone earlier on, and it's probably when my battery's dead. And we were just talking about Southport, guys, and it was like just like he mentioned about Paul Thorpe doing a video at 3 a.m. Uh, and I think we're all feeling a wee bit, it's really hard work. So it is knowing that we're living and what's happened to our country, and it's been happening for a long time. But I think the way that what's happened with Southport, that's sort of really brought it home to us that this is our life now. Um, and it's one of the things that Lee said to me about it was he doesn't understand why nobody from round there's talking. Because what we know and what you're allowed to know because the government don't want you to know. It's like at the end of the day, you got the way I'm looking at it. This is the way I've thought about it. Like, so I imagine we know about the guy who got 3 years for saying I don't care what anybody says that he's a Muslim. He got jailed for that. So I can imagine if you were from there, you would be pretty much feared to say anything just with that. Well, there's people have been silenced and there's gagging orders, and it is a wee bit like the film Silenced that Tommy brought out with what young Bailey went through that I've touched on before. How all the teachers and the other school kids were silenced in that situation to push an agenda that the government want pushed, which was totally false. Totally false. You that was made clear from the eyewitnesses' accounts from that area. And that's all we ever have. All we ever rely on is if anything happens anywhere, we always rely on the people from that area to tell us what actually the truth is. And that's how we work in the working class. If something goes down in any of our areas, then we know who to speak to on the ground, to find out the truth. And, I think more and more people now are starting to see the truth and then the government's agenda. And it's pretty scary when you know the truth. That you got to put yourself in the shoes of some of these people. So these people are living in an area and they know a certain thing, and it's pretty blatantly obvious to everybody. And then the government are coming out and saying something totally different. And anybody that disagrees with the government, they're putting them in prison. So with that in mind, you got to really think about this. Put yourself in these people's shoes. Would you go online and go, no, the government are talking shit. This is what's really happening. This is what really went down. No, you're not going to. Not, and this brings me on to I need to just tip my hat basically to. I'm not going to name too many people or anything like that because you know you shouldn't need to. We all know who everybody is in the YouTube world, in the X world, in that in TikTok, all the patriots. You know what I mean? And I have to say, with my hand on my heart, use guys in England that are active and online and doing stuff. I do admire you no end. The amount of bravery that you have to do what you're doing, you know. under the circumstances of what would happen to you if the police come knocking at your door, which we then know would lead you going to court and then railroaded right through and getting sentenced to a prison sentence for saying something or resharing or tweeting or whatever. So we know the risks that everybody's taking. Guys like Working Class Patriot, the YouTube channel Working Class Patriot, I take my hat off to that guy because he's been so consistent and without fear. And you got to remember, guys, I'm not talking out of hingy here. I'm talking from experience. I'm talking about what I know, what I'm hearing, and I can honestly say, with my hand on my heart, that going into an English prison system today is a very, very daunting thought. And it would make me think twice, really. And I'm a hardened criminal, if you, I'm not even like saying the word criminal, but, you know, that's what they call us all far right. You keep doing that, people are just going to say, yeah, okay, I'm far right, whatever. That's the way it is, you know what I mean? That's where we're at. That's where I'm at with that, you know what I mean? Um, like I say, I've got my own personal blues opinions about the criminal thing, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to go into it here. But yeah, I committed a crime in the law, and in law, I was a criminal, you know what I mean? So, but my experience as a criminal in the English system is basically, yeah, it's a very scary place. So it is. It's a very violent place. I seen it changing. Like I was there when it was changing. I was in a London jail in Aylesbury. Like, I've told you about it in my other videos. Very, very violent. One of the most violent prisons I've ever been in. It's the one prison I always said, anybody that knows me, that's where I learned to cut the atmosphere with a knife. Where that saying comes from. It was the first time I could actually feel feel it when I walked onto the wing. Horrible, horrible. And yeah, it didn't feel in that horror as the months and years went on in that jail. It was brutal to say the least. And like I say, I've been in a lot of prisons in England, a lot of prisons in Northern Ireland, and a lot of prisons in Scotland. Been in Barlinnie, one of the toughest jails in Scotland. You know what I mean? Was in there for a year in remand, and it's kindergarten stuff compared to Aylesbury. And that was a long time ago, and I know it's got 100 times worse since then. You know what I mean? So my heart goes out to the families of men who are inside at the minute. I've got nothing but admiration for the men who are still standing up and speaking the truths that the government don't want you speaking, and they don't want the rest of the public hearing. Um, and I want you all to understand when you are following people or you see people like Working Class Peter, even though he doesn't put his face online, he does put he puts a lot of stuff up that's really informative and yeah, he's on the button. He really is on the button. Even like Paul Thorpe, you know what I mean? They're all taking a risk. They're all taking a chance. You know what I mean? At any time, the door could go in for something that all of a sudden is illegal. That's the way we're going. You know what I mean? It's like they're making it up as you go along. You're getting done. You're going to prison for something that isn't a crime. They're admitting it. No, it mightn't be a crime, but it's still not right. So we don't like it. So you're going to jail. Things are getting a bit crazy. And that's what me and Lee were talking about. We were like, what's happened? Like we look out now and we're thinking, what is going on? We still don't have any justice for the Manchester policewoman that was had her nose broken. You know, we all know who done it. Every one of us know who done it. It wouldn't take 12 men in a jury to find out. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't make any sense at all, and it's gone that far that we now have Reform, the only party that represents the people of this country right now, having to take them to court themselves and actually bring a private prosecution. That's ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. And it sets a precedent for anybody else that wants to go down that road. That's what I think. It gives people the green light, the license, if you know what I mean. If you're from a certain demographic, then you're going to get handled with kids' gloves, and we've seen it over and over again. Only the thing is, with the Tommy Robinson thing as well, he was seeing what we're seeing now, scaled down in Luton. We're now seeing that spread right across Britain, and that's why it's came to highlight. That's why more people are supporting Tommy, and that's why the truth is starting to come out because it's difficult to be calling somebody a racist and all the rest of it when there's no evidence of somebody being a racist. And then the whole time, when you actually hear what he was saying, and then you see that it's actually happening, then you wonder why the government were making all this up about the guy. and still persecuting them today in front of us all, in front of the world. The whole world's watching. And that's another thing we were talking about. This really worries me because the things with the farmers. It's almost like Stammer doesn't care. It's almost like there's something else going on. Because think about it, it's so obvious that he is the most hated politician Britain has ever had. It's so obvious that Labour will never get into power ever again. They've made that. I think everybody understands that now that Labour will never get another chance of what, because this has all started with Tony Blair. We know exactly what's going on now. Everybody's clear in their mind because history has been recorded. And if you've got any sort of sense, you just got to sit down and have a wee look. And yeah, it all started with Tony Blair, and basically, it's the same Labour government. Tony Blair's still there, pulling the strings. He's still involved. All the same people are still involved. These are the far left. You know what I mean? And this is why you're seeing what's happening. This has been planned from a long time ago, and it's just being carried on by the Labour government today. And it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Um, people joke about England being gone. England is gone. There's no two ways about it. If you look at England in 20 years' time, forget about it. Just because you're looking at it right now, but it's too late. You can't reverse it. They're not going to send people back. You know, even when they're committing horrendous crimes, they're still far left Labour politicians that have fought to keep them here on many cases, over and over again. So not only do we know that these people that are in power aren't going to put these people out, we also know that they're going to fight to keep them in. They've been doing it for years, and we've seen that. Like I say, it goes right back to Tony Blair. This is when it all started. It's all one big game. It's all one big. It's all going to be connected, and you're all going to see it soon. By the time everybody sees it, it's going to be too late. I do seriously worry what's on what they've got up their sleeve. Something's definitely coming. I keep saying that, and because he's nonchalant, if you know what I mean. He can see, like, it's like, I don't know. There's more to this. There's what politician who's meant to be serving the people, who loves his country, turns. If that was any of us, anybody, come on, let's be honest. If you would step down, if you loved your country, and you seen that the whole country was against you, and you were hurting the most vulnerable people, and everybody was telling you it was wrong. You know what I mean? Apart from the wee small circle around you. All this conservatives and reform, they're loving it because they're just letting them hang themselves. But that's if we get a chance to get that far down the road. I don't think that they're thinking like that, because this is a party, a political party that have failed. They have completely failed, and they're done, and they know they're done. They just need to look at the comments. They just need to look at the money that they're losing in funding from all different places. There's so much support that you don't understand, and I don't understand, that people are pulling away from them. So they know exactly what they're doing, and they know exactly the damage they're doing. And my question is, why do they not care? There's something else. You understand? There's something else that doesn't meet the eye here. I don't know if you can understand what I'm saying, or if you can see it, or if this is just me. You know what I mean? But it really, really concerns me. You know, um, Politicians are meant to be close to the people. That the whole point of a politician is to run the country for us. In our name. You know what I mean? And I think you don't. If you come into power on and lie through your teeth, and you're going to tell people you do one thing and you do the opposite, then that is, in my eyes, that's almost like he's somebody from another country that's got in the power, who's secretly going to destroy our country. That's what it feels like. If you think about it, why would any politician lie to get into power and then carry on doing things that are doing so much damage to the people of the country in so many ways? I'm not just talking about the winter fuel payments. I'm not just talking about our old. I'm not just talking about the farmers. I'm not just talking about our children, or the damage that's being done to or some of our communities. It's a lot deeper than that. This is more serious than people can see, and the fact the way Starmer and Labour are getting on, no, they've got blinkers on. They've got something else. They've got something else targeting, because there's nobody else would do this, because you would think there would be repercussions. You've lied to the nation. You've came in on policies that you knew you were just saying to get you the vote, and then when you came in, you went and done the opposite. and we can prove that's being proved over and over again by a lot smarter people than me. You know, and that's it's there for everybody to see. I'm quite sure most of you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not that educated. I'm just telling you as I'm from a working class guy on the streets and trying to get through life. You know, with the heating and electric and cost of living, really, really difficult. It's really difficult for everybody around me, you know, and that causes problems because we're not communicating as much because everybody's in a wee bit of a depression because they're really struggling. You know, the plans of going on holiday, the plans of doing this and doing that, and saving for this and saving for that, and the plans for their children, they've all been smashed. And whenever you smash people's hopes like that, then there's nothing, their heads go down. And I can see that. I can see the dullness in our communities. There's no spark. The pubs aren't as full anymore, you know, and that's been in decline. We know that that's been going in decline. But you know, I'm not a supporter of pubs. You know what I mean? I think alcohol is poison. You know, but at the same time, it is a marker for society. You can always judge society on certain things in our society, like the pubs. You know, you can always get the feel of an area, a community, through the pub as well. You know, um, it does have its purposes. You know, it's just a shame that people are killing themselves, like by bringing that service to the likes of me and others. You know, that look at things in a sociologically way. Sorry, but yeah, it's really concerning, guys. And you know, if you're not paying attention, you should be paying attention, and you should be telling other people to pay attention because this is really scary. It's almost like we've got a bogus government. This is what it feels like. We've got a bogus government in power, and they're doing nothing but trying to harm us. You know, they really are, and I'm scared because my wee girl's nearly 2 weeks old, and I am absolutely terrified what's ahead in this country in 20 years' time. Do the maths, guys. Look at the demographic. If you can ever get a truthful demographic of the state of this country right now, for some reason they don't want to give us that neither. Everything's very strange towards the Muslims. There's no two ways about it. And even Muslim people are talking to me about it. I'm talking to immigrants and I'm talking to Muslims because that's how I am. I'm able to talk to people like that and you know talk about things that's going on because I know it concerns them as much as me. There's guys that have come here to get away from the persecution of Islam. They've came to this country to get away from it, and now they're telling me they're facing it even more here. They're being scorned at because they're not going to mosques, because they're not making their women covered up. It's creating a problem for them, not just us now, you know. And I speak to immigrants because there's a big problem right now. We've got a lot of hatred towards immigrants, and people don't understand it's illegal immigrants, and it's we're even losing the point now because you know, the immigrants that we have lived to love that are in our communities have never caused us the problem. That's because there's never been that's why immigration has never raised its head in for years, you know. Um, and that's the truth. You're all surrounded by Polish, Lithuanian, Russians, Ukrainians, you know, Hungary, Germans, Dutch, surrounded. I've worked with them all my days. Always been around them, you know, drinking the pubs with them, play football with them, you know. So, and I've been in prison with them, you know. Never a concern or never a thought that oh you're from a different country. You know, the only reason you knew they were from a different country because they spoke with maybe a wee bit of a broken English. That was the only difference, you know. And you know, so it's funny how all of a sudden the spotlight's being changed to immigrants. And I was talking to a friend who's from Lithuania about 2 hours ago, and we were talking about immigration. And I was asking her how she felt about it, you know what I mean? Because illegal immigration is having an effect on just normal immigration, what people are thinking. And she was like, yeah, she's got a friend who's actually thinking about going back to Poland. Isn't that, how crazy is that? Now, we now are going to be in a situation where the people were coming here for refuge or for they move for whatever reason they want to come here and work and enjoy what we have. I've been here for years and years, and I talking about going back, you know. And you know, there's so many other guys talking about going back with them that have been born and bred in this country, and that's the thread. People are actually thinking about moving because you've just got to do the math. You've got to do the math, work out the birth rates, work out the death rates. Yeah, look at who's having babies and who's not having babies, and multiply it because then babies will be having babies in 20 years' time. And then if you really want to go down a rabbit hole, that will actually destroy whatever hope you had. Do the sums for 40 years time, you know, and make sure when you're doing the sums that you're not settling at the number that's already the numbers that we've got at the minute. Because one, they're not true figures because the government are not telling us the truth. We know that. Look, they're lying in anything they do. And I hate to say this. This is what a Muslim mate of mine said. It seems to be that anything the Muslims do wrong, the government are trying to cover it all up. You know, and you got to understand from like those moderate Muslims, you know, who we all know and love, they're starting to talk now. There's because like, not all of them are from them areas because them guy the moderate Muslims in their areas can't speak out. Of course they can't. You know what I mean? Like I've said, like the IRA and the Irish citizens couldn't talk out about the IRA. You know, in their areas, same as a loyalist, you would never speak out about it. You know, it's nuts. So yeah, extremism in some areas will be having a tight grip on the community. No two way about it. And obviously, we know that our police are scared to go in. You know, they're getting chased out. We see my leads they all get chased down the street. Um, that's the only place I've ever seen where policemen have been chased. I've never even seen the policemen run away in Northern Ireland when they faced all sorts. I've never seen the police run away in this country. That's the first time in my life. And I've had some battles with the police. You know, they retreat, they come forward, they retreat, they come forward. They don't ever run away. So yeah, that's a big thing for me as well. Seeing our police run away. Um, it's a shame that they run at us with batons and shields, but yet they run away from other communities. And this is what the truth is. This is what's happening. And yeah, people are thinking about moving. Immigrants are thinking about going back to their own countries. This is what's happening in Britain today. This isn't me giving misinformation or disinformation like the government would like you to think. You know, this is the truth. Everything there you can research. Everything I've said to you in this video, you can research it. You can look into it. You know, if you're not capable of doing it, ask somebody to do it for you. You know, it's interesting. It could be a hobby, you know, sociology, policies. I always say to people, you should be getting into things like that. I was lucky enough to learn it in my last sentence when I got to 18 years with the bank robberies. I done my sociology degree there, and I enjoyed it because it was social policies. It was about everything I knew and grew and lived with, and you know, alcoholism, drug abuse. You know what I mean? Smoking, cancers, well, the good, the bad. You know, working class areas compared to affluent areas. It was amazing. You know, and I suggest any young people to get into it. You should encourage your children to get into it, even just for a side hobby, because it's a wealth of information. You learn a lot about what goes on in the world, in our country, and how the government works. You know. Um, and the government no longer work for us. That's for sure. I can honestly say that. You know, when you're locking up our people because these people have been born in Britain, born with British parents. That's what it seems to be, are getting locked up for saying stuff. You know, and we are not even locking up Muslim men when they break a policewoman's nose. You know, and we've locked a woman up for putting out a tweet because she'd lost her baby here, and then she seen them poor babies get killed, and she got overcome with emotion, and she put a thing up. She put in shouldn't have shared or something, and she took it straight back down again, and she got jailed for it. But yet as we seen with that other man, the guy Jones, who's telling people to cut people's heads off that were right wing or far right or whatever he was, whoever he was wanting, unalived, he gets bail so he can spend it with his family at Christmas time. You see what I mean? So I could go on and on, but I'm not here to just keep telling you what you already know. What I'm trying to say to you is you've got to look at it properly of what's going on. We've got a government in charge that do not represent us, and that is almost like us being invaded. And I'm not. There's no other two ways again. It's like a Trojan horse almost. We are in extreme danger in this country, and my only hope is America help us because we are in that of much of extreme danger. We are liable for another country to come in and do what they need to do to put up a government in charge that represents the people of this country because they're only representing one side of the country. You can't lock the people that's been born and bred here from parents that have been born and bred here and grandparents that have been born and bred here and then treat a different community that aren't, what would you call it, natives. They treat them differently, and and it's all over the world. You know, we have fucking Vice President Pence, not Pence, sorry, Vance, joking that Britain's going to be the first Muslim country to have nuclear weapons. How's that even a joke? Why are we even making jokes like that? You know, we all know what jokes are, really. Jokes are just something that comes to somebody's mind, and then they shouldn't say it, but they say it, they make it out as a joke. But it came to his mind, you know. That's what you got to remember. That thought came to his mind before he made that into a joke. And I am worried. I am worried for my daughter. I'm worried because I suffer from complex PTSD and I've got a personality disorder. I've spent all my life in institutions and I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to have a chance to be part of society and have a family for once in my life. And I think with all the bad stuff, losing my mum, losing my foster mum, losing my wife, losing my mother-in-law, losing my father-in-law, you know, and then all the other like friends that have been murdered and all and the horrific things that's happened to people who I've loved, you know, like my brothers who are classed as my brothers, you know, I am very fragile. I will be honest, you know, but I think my grounds are warranted. You know, I really do. I honestly think that I've got every right to be concerned right now. You know, if I love my daughter, like I say, I love my daughter, then, you know, I should be really worried. And it breaks my heart to see a country, Britain, that I loved so much, born a unionist, born a royalist, thrived on it, was all I knew. To know now that I'm turning my back on the unionism bit, and I've turned my back on the royalism bit, and he is not my king. King Charles is not my king. And that's, you know, that's my opinion. This video is my opinion. This is me talking to my friends about my mental health and how I feel. I'm not here creating hatred. I'm only here producing the truth of what's going on the streets of Great Britain today. And I'm going to finish this off by saying I'm quite emotional. It breaks my heart to see a country being destroyed, to see the thousands of children that have been abused up and down England, where every time they've tried to get help, they were ignored because they didn't. Our system doesn't know how to deal with the perpetrators because they didn't want to be called racist. Everybody's just scared to talk about the facts and the truth what's happening in this country in case they get called a racist or far right, and that's a weapon being used against us. You know, and I implore every single person, do not be afraid of that weapon. Do not be afraid to be truthful, to be honest, and to let your family and friends know what's going on in this country, you know, because we're all too busy trying to survive right now, and it's quite convenient that everybody's got their heads down trying to feed and clothe their families while this is going on, you know, while all our money's getting pumped out to other countries like Ukraine, you know, billions and billions being promised every year. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of the money that our government have given to people that do not deserve it, you know. In my opinion, that money's going to generals. It's people are buying boats and houses, you know, and then the rest is going on weapons to kill other men, you know. And I do not agree with none of that. I don't know anybody that I've ever met on the street anywhere that agrees with it or supports our money going to Ukraine. So once again, we've got our government not representing the people of this country. They're not doing what we want. They're doing everything that we don't want. To me, that's the enemy of the state, not Tommy Robinson, it's the government. And that's why they've been trying to silence Tommy Robinson, because he's a truth teller and they do not like truth tellers because they're the ones telling the lies. That's me. Freedom, Dad. I've had my rant. Quite emotional when I talk about it. That's why I try not to touch on it. That's why I have been taking a wee bit step back from the activism because there's nothing I can do. I'm watching a boat go down and I can't plug the holes. There's nothing I can do. And I'm scared to even go and try and plug the fucking holes for want of getting shot out of the water, you know. And that's by my own government trying going against us men who are trying to fix our country. We're trying to make our country a better place for our children, and our government are putting us down. They're attacking us on the streets, and they're putting us in the prisons, and they're silencing people up and down the breadth of this country. And I don't even think you'll ever get the truth out of Southport, you know, because they look what they done with young Bailey, our young 15-year-old working class lad, you know, with all that carry on. What happened to him fighting that young boy, and how they made that young boy to be out somebody that he wasn't, and they lied, and they took him to the Houses of Parliament, they took him to the House European, they took him into Europe and sat him on a pedestal and made him out to be somebody that he wasn't. and they turned our young working class guy Bailey into a monster. And we had people like Piers Morgan slaughtering him on TV, putting that young boy's life in danger when he done nothing wrong. He wasn't a racist. He wasn't waterboarding anybody. He was protecting his young sister, you know. And that was his only crime. And look what happened to that guy. So there's so many victims coming from our government. No from anywhere else. The government, you know. The government's doing more damage to us than anybody else. And that's the truth. The damage that the other damage that's getting done, you're going to see that come into fruition, where it's going to be nobody's going to miss it in 20 to 30 years time. Believe you me, and there's nothing any of us can do about it. So you either stay and take what's coming, or you get your kids somewhere safe. I'm Freedom Dad. Sorry it's such a strong video. All I have is love, no hate in my heart, and I can't help bring you stuff like this because it means a lot to me. I love my country. I love my countrymen. You know, Ireland. I love Ireland. I love the Irish. I love everybody. I love Muslims. I love Jews. I don't care who you are, what you are. If you're okay with me, I'm okay with you. You know, there's just unfortunately there's a group of men in this country right now that aren't okay with us. You know, and it's being silenced. You know, I don't know what the solutions are. I'm definitely away this time. All my love to you guys, and God bless every single one of you.